Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice.
This is how to establish an accountability chart for where you are and what you're growing to, all right? And this is in my notebook. I'm gonna have to reproduce it for you, but I did an accountability chart for a $500,000 a year revenue practice, $1 million a year revenue practice, and a $3 million a year practice. I will redo that for you. You will have it in nice digital format, and I'll get that to everybody. So what's an accountability chart? It's really from Gazelles and Traction. So Gazelles is Vern, Harnish. I'm fully transparent here. So Sturdy is a licensed Gazelles coach. We work with, at BPTM, Wayne Ferrari and Rich Saunders at Freescale, and they were with Vern Harnish before there was scaling up. So they've been doing this forever, and it is awesome. It's a 2-day event, and so we're investing in doing that. And the lessons are really, really good, and I want you to have it. So that's why we're doing an accountability chart. So it's from the Gino Wickman work and also Vern Harnish. Accountability chart is an overview of your private practice main processes plus who is accountable for each. So who remembers when we were in Chicago, and I think a couple of you might have been in the room, and we had 6 owners up front, and we had somebody that was doing receptionist, external marketing, treatment, all that fun stuff across the board, right? Anybody remember that? Okay, 2, awesome. For time's sake, I'm gonna go through this for you really quick. So most of us, we try to be good at everything, right? Anybody feel like they're overwhelmed trying to do too many things in your business? You're spread too thin, you don't have enough bandwidth. Great, so here's what most of us try to do. We're trying to create processes for our front desk, or we're trying to do that job. Over here, we're trying to handle all of our financing, or at least get granular enough with our billing department so that we understand everything that's going on, like looking at individual accounts. Anybody look at individual accounts and their financing within the past week? Sheepish? Yep. Okay, stop doing that. Over here. Next up, treatment. You know, are you your best therapist? That's still a syndrome that we have a lot of, right? No, everybody wants to see me. Next up, you have your marketing departments. So internal and external marketing. Do you have to originate everything, right? So if you're trying to do all those things, you can see how really, really quick, you know, you might, well, many of us in the room haven't given somebody else that accountability yet, let alone that responsibility. But yet you're paying them to have that level of responsibility. So accountability chart is an overview of your practice, and it's not only who's accountable for each, it's who's owning each area. Like you want your marketing person to say, I'm owning new patients. We need 20 new patients next week, and I own it. So why are they important? Flow, first of all. Like you want to see how a patient flows through your practice, also how different offices interrelate. Let's each team member know who's accountable for what, who owns each area, right? Like the one thing that we do at the beginning of every boot camp is because I typically get logistics questions. I say, don't ask me logistics questions about where you should be or anything like that. See Heather or Lauren. Same thing with compliance and legal and everything else. I'm not that. You know my role. It's mainly about marketing, and in this case, as a practice owner. So it helps you optimize the team members' competencies, which we'll talk about. And really, if you study any observational business management expert, my 2 favorites are Jim Collins and Patrick Lencioni. Over and over again, they're saying the same thing. It's people first. It's who's on the bus, right? Like that's the method. It's people first. And if you have the right people, but they're not well organized, then you fit. If you have the wrong people, that's a flunk, and that's not going to go well. If you have the right people and they're not organized in a way that makes sense, that contributes to your overall practice, you're going to have problems with that as well. So here's what typically happens. This is our fun stages again. No organization of people, no accountability. Everything flows to the owner. It's going to snow tomorrow. What are we supposed to do? Mary is upset that we told her she had a $20 copay and now her insurance company told her that it's $35, or that she has a $500 deductible. And we didn't tell her about that. The insurance company didn't tell us. What are we supposed to do? Anybody dealing with stuff like that on a day-to-day basis? Okay, so that's stage 0. Next up is accountability chart is copied. That's very classic. It's so much better if you actually build your own and go through the exercise that I think we're going to have time here for. Accountability chart is copied, or whatever you're using. Some people call it an organizational chart, organizational board, has many different names, but so it's copied and hung up on a wall. It's 3 years old, it's not updated, and nobody pays attention to it. Anybody doing that? Like you have one just posted, but okay, it's not active, it's not alive. Stage 2 is partial staff buy-in. It's static. Team members know where they're at. They just don't know who owns what. So I'm in marketing, but am I really supposed to be paying attention to new patients, or should I go over to the PT area and like help them increase visits because the visits are dropping off and now I want to go correct that problem? Like you can start to have stuff like that. Stage 3, all team members know where they are and who is accountable for each area. And then finally, stage 4, team members own areas of accountability with initiatives. Is Delane still in the room? Okay, this is for her specifically, who owns areas of accountability with initiatives and rocks or priorities, which line up with the practices BHAG and 3HAG, 1HAG quarterly initiatives. That's what you're working towards. Scorecard, self-limiting beliefs. Too busy doing, not enough time. Sounds familiar? Don't understand the tie-in or alignment to the whole organization, just people in seats. So we have people in areas, we have a receptionist sitting out front, but we're not necessarily painting that vision, that picture of how what she's doing up front relates to everything else. You okay, Blaine? Okay. But that, like a full functioning CEO, if you read any of the Gino Wickman stuff, scaling up stuff, Jim Collins, anybody that is writing business books, that is the job of CEO. Here's the overall purpose of where we're going as a team. This is how your job is related. You're a quarterback. You're a cornerback. You're a safety. You're the water girl. You're the kicker, right? We're going through, everybody has a, this is how this is related. We score more points than them, we win the game. We win more games than they do, we get a Super Bowl trophy in Philadelphia. Sorry, Stacy. Oh, skipped one, maybe. So owner is afraid to ask for anything in return, afraid of staff getting upset and leaving. Hostage, I think, is what I've called it. I felt like I was a hostage, that I couldn't say anything. At one point, this is late 2000s, we had bonused more than our profitability. So like bonus myself, anybody, okay. I'm not alone, right? So maybe it was like $5,000 profitability and we bonused like $6,000. And I remember our bookkeeper, I call her mom, came to me and said, hey, by the way, you just paid this out, but here's your profitability. Like, you can't keep doing that. And I think it might have even been more dramatic, like a bigger loss. And I was like, oh, so what do you think I did? Nothing, I ate it. Like I wouldn't even sit down with our therapist and explain what's going on. I left the same bonus system in and it happened again and it was worse. And then eventually I got to the point I was like, hey, by the way, you know how you're getting bonus on visits, a tiered bonus on visits? Well, I noticed that you're only billing 2 units per visit now, just to get your visits in. What, like, that's weird. If you were averaging 4, you're now averaging 2.7. This isn't working out. That person's gone. So yeah, owners afraid to ask for anything in return, compensation for accountability and responsibility. The thing that Rich said that just made it, like, and I just hung on to, was if I'm giving you a paycheck, the purpose of that exchange is to make your area better tomorrow than it is today. And if that's not happening, we need to work on that. So how to establish an accountability chart. You're defining the activities. What I did every single time I've ever done this at BPTM with the team or at Madden Physical Therapy, especially in the early days, is I just wrote down every activity that needed to be done. It's 15 minutes, brain dump, follow a patient through your office. What's every activity that has to happen for that patient? Get it all out there. Group activities into areas. Some happen in the clinic, so they involve treatment, taking a patient back from the waiting room back to the treatment area, making sure the table's clean, making sure there's a clean pillowcase, getting TheraBand, getting exercise, making sure the laundry's done. All those things are in that clinical area. Same thing in billing or anything else. Group activities into areas and then organize it, just like I shared with you. And I always try to go sequential, like chronologically, like this happens, then this happens, and this happens. Write who is owning each area. Write who is owning each area. And when we go through this afternoon, I'm gonna have you'll see, we'll have one color sticky note for the activities, and we'll have another color with the name. So Mike owns this, okay? Establish an accountability chart. Internal marketing, external marketing are some of our areas. Clinical director, office manager, these are all really roles that own groups of activities. Front office, reception, back office billing, accounting, compliance and legal, and then treatment, your actual products and services. There are at least a few main areas. I think in traction and in scaling up, they recommend 3 to 7 major areas, and then they say no more than 10. So what do we have there? 9 areas. We probably could lump marketing together, and if you look at it, clinical director and office manager are really roles, not areas of activity. So we might have just gotten it down to 6. So how to establish an accountability chart now. Exercise, we're gonna do this later. On a whiteboard, we're gonna go through, show you exactly how to do it. Okay, and this is a key thing. Everybody has written down where they're gonna be in 3 years. Show of hands. You have written down where you're gonna be in 3 years. All right, is that different than where you're at today? Okay, so I'm gonna talk you through my notes, and again, you'll get this, but so if you're at, how many staff do you have? 10, 12? 12? Okay, to do what you want to do in 3 years, how many staff are you gonna need? 17? Okay, do you know what those positions are? Yep. Julian, that's 7 positions. 12 plus 7 is more than 17, and I think you were still rolling. All right, so yeah, and the exercise is this. You write down where you're at today, and we're gonna do this on a whiteboard with sticky notes, and then where we're gonna be in 3 years.
Before we continue with this episode, here's a word about our course, Profitability Under Pressure.
How does your practice's profitability today compare to what it was back in 2019? Is it keeping pace with inflation? Hey, this is Chad Madden here. I want to introduce you to the Profitability Under Pressure program. This is a 90-day masterclass designed to help you build a robust financial system for your practice. Most owners aim to improve revenue per visit and enhance their bottom line. However, many are facing declining reimbursements and rising operational costs, making it challenging to maintain financial health. The Profitability Under Pressure program consolidates the best practices currently working for practice owners into one comprehensive system. This program will help you boost profit margins, reclaim your time, gain time freedom, and assist more people in your community and leave a bigger impact. You'll learn how to conduct a profit leak audit, create a profit plan, and use various levers to increase revenue. Additionally, you'll get a 90-day trial of our patient demand software and access to our exclusive Inside Circle community. Here you can connect with other like-minded practice owners who are navigating similar challenges and finding solutions. Don't just take our word for it. Hear from owners like Lance Gross, who added $1.1 million to his bottom line, Peg Gray, who got her finances under control, and Jeff Gersh, who saved time with our cheat sheet for increasing profitability. Don't miss this opportunity. Apply today for the Profitability Under Pressure program and start increasing your profits by $10,000 or more within just 90 days of implementation, guaranteed. Secure a more stable financial future for your practice. Click below and apply now to join the ranks of successful physical therapy private practice owners who transform their businesses with our program. Apply today.
Thank you for listening this far. Now back to the episode.
So that we know what we need to hire for, or we know where we need help. The first exercise when you're doing now, what you can quickly see is where your gaps are. Because anywhere there's a gap, guess who owns that area? You. You're owning that. You might not want to own that area, but you're owning it. If something goes down there, you're the one catching it, right? You're putting out the fire. All right, so knowing that we're going to do that exercise, what other questions do you have right now? Yep. Yeah, so Work the System, Sam Carpenter. It's a book. You're going to just get an Amazon credit card now, because you're going to. So what that is you're making a process within your organization. Every time that you see something go wrong, or every time that something is nailed and it's going really right and you never want that to not happen again. Right, yeah. So a process would be like, for example, we have a process for calling every single patient the day before the visit. So if we have 142 visits tomorrow, on Friday, there were 142 appointment reminders, or people opted out of the appointment reminder.
So that's a predictive metric because it's things that you have in process.
Right. Your office manager and clinical director are making tomorrow right in each of the departments that they're responsible for. So they're making tomorrow better. And the way to do that is to put systems in place.
It's basically the things that you're working on.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. That doesn't need to be high. I kind of look for like one a month at this point. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have, it's not like a process every day. Yes, Jennifer. We tried to go to, yes, we bonus our therapists and PTAs on units, ultimately, if you break it down. I don't know how to paint that picture until they were owners. Until there was skin in the game, it was visits. I mean, that's the short end. Just wasn't a need to understand it on that level. It was available. Like they knew what they were doing. They had that information, but they were just seeing it in terms of visits. If anybody has a way to look at that better, that'd be great. Okay, yep. Okay. Another dangerous thing that can happen in practice, and I've gone through this, I'll come to you next, TJ. Typically staff they'll do gross. So like I remember as a student when I was at Cincinnati Sports Medicine, and I saw it one time and I just never shouldn't have seen it, and they were billing $37 for a bag of ice. And this is in 1999. And I'm like, hey, I'm paying Misericordia $20,000 a year, just ate to myself there. $20,000 a year. I'm here, and you're getting $37 for a bag of. Were they getting 37 bucks? No, they were probably getting like $5. When the 20% of insurance companies that were paying, everybody else it was an incidental. But I saw that. So sometimes your staff can do that as well. So it's Katie, right? So I love what Katie said. Like, just to give an idea, like you think you're billing out $20,000 a week or something outlandish. Here's what that means to us. Like, so transparency, great game of business. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, TJ.
One thing we just learned this week from our billing company, they went through and they were giving us a total charge per therapist for the CPT code. So like they gave us like the 4-time code.
Awesome. Nick, I can't see that far away. 5 minutes, great. Yeah, we'll carve out some time to go through this. Gwendolyn? Yeah. So every patient's different, which makes what I'm about to tell you even more fun. But what we did is we took the State Practice Act for Pennsylvania and we said, okay, what can a physical therapist do in that license that nobody else can do? And for us, it's primarily evaluation, assessment, and treatment, manual therapy. So the Pennsylvania PTA certification license roller coaster that we've been on is ridiculous. The same thing happens with PTA manual therapy. So there's certain times where they can do passive. So pretty much our PTAs, based on our understanding and working with and Mary and then also Paul Welk, is that in Pennsylvania, a PTA can do linear traction. We occasionally will test weighted belt traction for the lumbar spine. They can do passive range of motion, and that's it. No joint mobs or anything like that. So that's Pennsylvania. So the therapist, every single visit, if that person's getting manual therapy, the therapist is doing test, treat, retest, and the manual therapy visit. That can take 15 minutes, that can take 30 minutes. In extreme cases, it may take longer. You know, if somebody comes in and they have 3 different diagnoses. We have all these little, I don't know, what do we have, like 20 different little monikers for the type of schedule that it used to be just one thing, which was like a very simple, I need more time with this patient one-on-one code that went into our scheduling system, our electronic scheduling system. Now it's crazy. It's like playing air traffic controller. Having said that, PT only does what a PT can do that nobody else legally can do. PTA is doing primarily only what a PTA can do that a therapist, do you know what I mean? Like it's like if the aide can handle it, then the aide does it. If the PTA can handle it, then the PTA does it. And then everything else, the therapist is doing what they're legally allowed to do. Am I making sense there?
I just don't know how you schedule that. I mean,
It's pretty much it comes out to like every 20 minutes. But we schedule it on the 15.
as a patient every 20 minutes.
We schedule it on the 15, so they might have a patient, like let's say it's 10 o'clock, 10:15. If that 10 o'clock patient is a private insurer, there's a lot of qualifications in this, and it's developed over many years. That's why it's difficult to explain. So patient at 10, that's a normal 15 to 20 minute manual therapy patient. Therapist sees them, gets them started, does the manual therapy, test, treat, retest, now I'm moving better, goes on to the PTA. 10:30 or 10:15, another patient comes in, let's say that's a Medicare patient. We're doing that. Now we've added, so here's another thing, we've had to add a PTA floater to help. If you're doing the math and you're thinking about it, there are times where we need an extra license there. So we've hired for that as well. So there, at our Madden PT office, there's a PTA that's split between 4.5 other teams as we're building that 5th team. And then like, let's say it's 10, 10:15, 10:45, it's 3 people scheduled on the hour. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So let's say you have those patients. When is the therapist doing their notes? Because they're supposed to treat and do notes, treat and do notes.
Yep. What's your first name?
Jane.
Hi, Jane. What's going on since your last visit?
My back hurts.
Your back hurts? Therapy didn't work? Okay. So 0 to 10, what's the worst pain you've had since I saw you? Okay, 4. I'm doing the subjective and objective right now. Right?
You're typing it in as you go.
Initial. Here's a secret. We're still on paper. Yep. Everything's electronic. They're actual notes. There's a reason for that, but I'll leave it at that. So we're going through subjective is done by the time I'm doing my manuals. So if I take measurement and your back's still hurting and I take you have 3 degrees of lumbar spine flexion, indicate that. After treatment, 78 degrees, indicate that. That subjective and objective is all documented. Anything that I want to write in the assessment to communicate to the PTA, that's in there as well at the end of my 15 or 30 minutes that we have together.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, other than the EMR curveball, anybody else want to contribute to that? Pennsylvania aid is allowed to document on the flow sheet, so they can indicate 30 repetitions or whatever. They can't change anything, but they can indicate that. PTA primarily does that, and then PTA will finish the note. Yeah. And there's really good communication. I mean, they're in the same area, so the PT and the PTA are communicating constantly. Hey, by the way, next time Karen comes in, let's do this, right? It is efficient, and it works super smooth, super well. Other questions on accountability chart? Was this helpful first time? You feel like you can, yep.
Say you got a PTA treating Jane. So the PTA treats Jane and the PT treats Jane. They both are,
Oh yeah.
metric for both, correct?
Yep. When Jane comes in, she's going to see me typically first. I'm going to do the quick assessment, ask her how she's doing, fill in the subjective. We're going to take some basic range of whatever her provocative test or tests are, her movements are. We're going to record that. I'm going to do my manual therapy. She's going to go through, and then she'll go to Michelle, Ryan, Devin, whoever the PTA is. Awesome. So out of this, what could be more clear? Like what questions do you have? Are you looking for clarity? Is there something that is difficult to understand, or is there anything that jumped out that make like an aha moment? Not that we're doing a day 3 recap here, but this is new material, and I just want to set up the person that's going to teach this for you. Yep.
Just maybe kind of the rollout, okay, if you've never done this, and maybe you cover this, you get everybody together, you get each department together, and okay, this is what we do, or everybody together, how does it start? Patient first, when you talk about external marketing, internal marketing,
Great.
how they come in.
How many staff do you have? Oh, who's like are you the CEO type? You're the visionary? Do you have an office manager, clinical directors? So it's you and then an office manager, same office manager for all 3 offices? Same person. You're gonna sit down with that person and go through this first. You break it off into each department and say, hey, what does this look like? Yeah.
So just one quick one I just want to add. The thing that I love about number 4 on that accountability chart.
Yep.
It really sort of is a motivating tool, really on board, and they're really saying, hey, this is where we are and this is what we're doing about it. Then it really becomes a little bit of peer pressure too, because everybody's kind of like, oh my God.
In every company I've ever owned or worked with, like when you have really good staff, you get more good staff. It's kind of, and the not good staff leaves. But I don't know how to put it any other way, but that happens frequently. Yep. Sounds like a self-limiting belief. I'm just teasing. Go ahead. Yep. You can own 4 areas. It's not going to be pleasant. You could do that. You just want to make sure that they're really accountable for that. And the thing that can happen, TJ, is when, like if you break it down into, let's say 6 areas, and you have one person that's owning like 3, probably one of those is their wheelhouse. Like they're really, really good at that. And then as you grow and you bring somebody in, you want to bring a person in to capture whatever that weakness is. So you hire for the weakness, right? Yep, Tony?
Yeah, we've been working more on this whole thing, organizational chart, and putting people in different positions. Like we recently just put somebody in a director position.
Thanks, Tony. Last one.
You talked about hiring for this and trying to fill in those gaps. Do you use a tool like a strength finder or something to help, or do you?
Yeah, actually, Julie and I have to talk with you about this. We've used tests. And we're going through, and the testing that we use 5 tests at BPTM. They're really, really good. There's a lot of pre-employment testing available. I'll say this. First of all, use some sort of pre-employment testing. Okay. Second, do a working interview. It's the most important thing is the working interview. All right. Apparently, I have to go upstairs. Thank you.
How does your practice's profitability today compare to what it was back in 2019? Is it keeping pace with inflation? Hey, this is Chad Madden here. I want to introduce you to the Profitability Under Pressure program. This is a 90-day masterclass designed to help you build a robust financial system for your practice. Most owners aim to improve revenue per visit and enhance their bottom line. However, many are facing declining reimbursements and rising operational costs, making it challenging to maintain financial health. The Profitability Under Pressure program consolidates the best practices currently working for practice owners into one comprehensive system. This program will help you boost profit margins, reclaim your time, gain time freedom, and assist more people in your community and leave a bigger impact. You'll learn how to conduct a profit leak audit, create a profit plan, and use various levers to increase revenue. Additionally, you'll get a 90-day trial of our patient demand software and access to our exclusive Inside Circle community. Here you can connect with other like-minded practice owners who are navigating similar challenges and finding solutions. Don't just take our word for it. Hear from owners like Lance Gross, who added $1.1 million to his bottom line.
Peg Gray, who got her finances under control, and Jeff Gersh, who saved time with our cheat sheet for increasing profitability. Don't miss this opportunity. Apply today for the Profitability Under Pressure program and start increasing your profits by $10,000 or more within just 90 days of implementation, guaranteed. Secure a more stable financial future for your practice. Click below and apply now to join the ranks of successful physical therapy private practice owners who transform their businesses with our program. Apply today